So USMNT Only and Men in Blazers posted some comments from the U.S. Soccer COO Dan Helfrich. I believe that's how you say his name. I'm going to read his quote or what he had to say as well. Arsene Wenger as well was speaking alongside him. Arsene Wenger, for those who don't know, legendary manager from Arsenal. But in their statements, they're talking about just how they plan on coming up with a way to make soccer more affordable for middle to lower income families. So here's the comment. Here's Helfrich. Helfrich said, "We are not seeking to make the current system more affordable. We're trying to create a new system that then we make highly affordable. It's a really important distinction." Wenger said, "From outside, I felt that people from a poor background had no access to the game. That is quite a big part of the population that usually in Europe, the best football players come from poor backgrounds. We want to maybe we want maybe a job to do as well." I think there's some typos here. To make it possible and available for everybody, and after to be consistent because it is not a short-term fix. The discussion centered on how the Federation can continue growing the sport after what U.S. Soccer CEO JT Batson called an incredibly successful World Cup that has fundamentally changed the trajectory of the sport in the United States. I want to say this too, real quick. Was it successful? Yeah, I think more people in the US are into soccer now. More people want to play soccer. I think that's great. Was it a success for the US men's team? No, it wasn't. They beat teams they should have beaten. And, I'd say the big difference between now and in the past with Pochettino, they beat teams they should beat, right, without a problem, you know. Where in the past they might beat those teams or they could lose or they barely beat them, right? But they are still far away from competing with the top teams in Europe. Obviously, after losing 4-1 to Belgium. But this is definitely what we need. I mean, if you look at U.S. sports right now in the United States, football, basketball, baseball, a lot of the top players come from poor backgrounds. And let's just be honest, people that don't come from much are more motivated to be successful. It's easier to be motivated. It's much easier to be motivated because you don't have anything. When you come from money, it's harder to be motivated because you have everything you need, right? So it is important. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of system they come up with. Will the system for kids that can't afford the pay to play system be worse? It's going to be interesting to see how this works. I'm glad they're coming up with a plan. At the end of the day, though, an open system with promotion and relegation would be the best, but that's a whole nother video and a whole nother discussion.